Hello everyone, I think the stream is going. Just wanted to make sure, let me know if you can hear me. Should also be some music playing too, and there is. Alright, looks like everything's up and running. How is everyone? Cool. Hello, some random. Hello, Mackenzie. Hello, Anime. Hello, Seal. Hello, Peter J. Hope everyone's doing all right. Did I block pop? No, I didn't. For some, in a way, it's a little endearing. Maybe I think there's no pop-ups because of all the like stuff going on in the world right now. So, oh wait, hey, look. Actually, no, there isn't because I'm using a different. Browser, so that's probably why the ads are blocked, which is actually kind of nice. Hello, everybody. Are you a fan of Team Rocket from Pokemon? I am. I am. It's kind of funny because someone made the joke. I didn't even do this intentionally. My dead name was James, and my name now obviously is Jesse. So Jesse James. I always thought that was kind of funny. Seal, deeply frustrated by my inability to actually kick my brain into working, but surviving. Hope you're well. Thank you very much. Yeah, I definitely know the feeling. I'm going to be entirely honest with everybody on the stream right now. To be very honest with all of you. And sorry to bring it down to start this off with a little bit of sad news, but everything's all right with me, but my energy is a little bit low at the moment just because I'm like kind of having a mild anxiety moment just before coming on the stream here because without getting too many details, I have a full-time job and we have a weekly company meeting just that happened just before this, and unfortunately there was some allusions made in that call towards some possibly not nice things happening in the near future, which kind of has me nervous. There's no specifics on it yet, so all may be good in Jesse Land in terms of that. But just being a little bit honest, my energy's a bit low just because I'm having a little bit of anxiety just due to that at the moment. So apologies if my energy level's not as high as it could be. But I did want to keep doing this just because I know it'll help distract me and help me have some fun. And I know once we get into this and I get talking to you guys and we just start having fun, that it'll make me feel a little bit better than sort of having my just sitting here in my apartment kind of having an anxiety attack. So apologies if that's a thing. So I'll kind of leave it there for now because I'll just kind of distract myself. But I just want to at least let everyone know that if I feel a bit off today, that's the reason why. But I just want to let everyone know, but I just saw a couple super chats, and I want to say thank you so much to both of you. Farpoint Station, which, by the way, your avatar is freaking phenomenal. I love the crazy face guy. Been eating so many beans I clogged my toilet twice. I'm glad that's how you use the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you very much, Farpoint Station, for the super chat, and thank you for that piece of information. Absolutely wonderful. Farpoint Station, also, you said we're here for you, Jesse. I appreciate that. That's super meaningful, especially right now. Like I said, even if bad things happen, I'll get through. I have enough saved. My resume's good, so life will go on. But like I said, I'm going to try and let it go after I'm sure reading your nice comments. Christy. Hey, Christy. I'm glad to see you on the stream. Hey, first time I saw the notification in time and can't stay. Luck to you, and hopefully I'll be back. I'm sorry that you couldn't stay, Christy. I don't know if you're still on the chat, but love you. And also, I forget Christy's channel name. Let me quick look it up. But Christy does a wonderful channel where she interviews, it's just Christy Abbey, so you can go follow her, but she does a wonderful channel where she interviews a bunch of transgender and left-leaning creators, including myself. She also did one with Steve Shives as well, so please go and give her a subscribe if you haven't already. She's absolutely wonderful. I just did a podcast with her and a few others called The Fluid Voice, which was on Star Trek and then trans issues in Star Trek. We did that on Friday. My community tab should have that video, so please go check her out. She is a wonderful, kind, amazing human. Let's see. When Bizzle Dizzle. Hello, everyone. Hi, Jesse. Good to see you there. Seal0626. Fingers crossed for you. Totally relatable. I really appreciate that. Like I said, I know I'm by far not the only one experiencing this anxiety at the moment. I know it's a little bit harder for me right now. Well, I shouldn't say harder for me because there are many people who probably have it much harder than I do. I'm just a bit nervous about it because I just had surgery, so payments on that are a bit scary. But like I said, I have enough saved, so it should all be okay. Many thanks to a lot of you, by the way, that I have that savings. So thank you for that. The Continuum. Hey, Continuum. I caught your stream last night. It was a lot of fun watching you play Final Fantasy X for a little bit. Nothing like watching a cute blonde Cali girl live long and prosper. Appreciate that. I guess I am blonde. I keep forgetting because I'm typically a redhead up here and then blonde down here. By the way, we will get to some fan fiction reading in just a little bit. I'm sort of waiting for people to roll in. Spiritus Mundi, we're here for you. Stay strong. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Some random. I have a full-time job too, and I do nothing on my channel for weeks. I'm a slacker. Hey, it's totally fine. I mean, this is something that I've talked about in other videos, but like, it's 100% okay to not be productive during this time. Like people talk about like, oh, during quarantine, Shakespeare wrote a play, and you know, creative people are thriving at this moment. It's like, no, it's okay to kind of be anxious and kind of be scared and not being creative and not being able to be productive. My personal anxiety makes me like want to work all the time. Like if I sit still for too long, I go crazy. But that's not how anxiety works for everybody. And so, and even my creativity is not the greatest. Sometimes it kind of drives me into a hole. Thankfully, it's been kind of an outlet for me at the moment. But if you're not being productive during this time because of many factors, motivation, anxiety, things like that, that is 100% okay. So don't ever beat yourself up for that. Some random and many others out there. Wellington Smith, hey, nice catching you there. Good to see you on the stream. Farpoint Station, and like I said, I'm going to get started reading in about 5 more minutes. Farpoint Station, Pacific Northwest is always here for you to come back to should your path lead you around these parts again. Heart. Thank you. For those of you who don't know, I used to live in Seattle. Favorite place to live. Maybe not at the moment. But Seattle was my favorite place that I ever lived in. I wish I didn't have to leave it to come back to LA because, to be very honest with you, I'm not the biggest fan of LA. I don't really love it. Ironically, I love it more now as a city because there's no traffic. And it's not like totally smoggy and awful. Not that there's anywhere to go or anything to do in LA at the moment. But yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of Los Angeles. It's just where the jobs were. And when, I had to leave Seattle, it was sad. And I'm hoping to get back there or anywhere else in the Pacific Northwest at some point in my life. See, it's times like these the world needs Star Trek and personal connection and creativity. I really appreciate that. And Mackenzie, thank you for the rainbow and thank you for the super chat. Sorry, apologies. Just got hit with a moment of emotion. Apologies. Okay. I thank you legitimately. I appreciate all of you. Like I said, sorry, it's just a moment, so I'll get through it in a second. It's helping talking to you guys, so thank you to all of you. I will be fine in a second. Just emotions are fun. Let's see. Some random. I am here at work from Seattle. Nice to see you. I didn't know you were in Seattle. Some random. Let's see. Is the lemonade country time or legit from real lemons? No judgment, just curious. No, this is actually just Crystal Light lemonade that I'm just drinking because it's just cheap and easy instead of having to. I usually buy like 6 packs of Gatorade, but to save money, I've just been doing Crystal Light because it comes in bulk and is much cheaper. This is getting. I've also been making a lot of White Russians. I almost consider making a White Russian for the stream tonight, but I figured after. The stuff that happened earlier, it'd probably be a bad idea to mix in alcohol tonight. Being productive during a Katrina Jones, being productive during a pandemic is much, much easier said than done. Definitely agreed. I'm on TNG binge. We're only in season 1. Mackenzie, I hope that is going well for you because TNG season 1's a bit rough, especially season 2 as well. Let's see. I have disabled comrades. There are days they can't do much, and that should be okay. It totally is okay. It always is okay. Like, being productive is wonderful and awesome, but as much as our society tells us differently, here's my Marxian rant a little bit, but productivity is not everything. Enjoying your life, enjoying yourself, enjoying being alive, enjoying the people around you, that's what's important. Not doing things. And again, being productive is great. It's wonderful, but it is not the only thing in life worth living for. And I dislike that society says that differently. You'll make it through, Jesse. Smiles from When Bizzle Dizzle. I appreciate that. You are wonderful. Just trying to catch up on the chat here so that we can get started soon. I don't know why I'm doing this voice. I don't know what it is. It's kind of like a Jewish mother, a little bit. Is that offensive? I'm sorry. It's now morphing into something else. Now I say I'm Southern, and I don't know. I don't know what's happening. I'm getting the ideas about Lexwana into the canon established AU where Deanna married Worf, grows apace in note form, but can't actually flesh anything out. Super stress. Believe me, it's totally fine. Stress is A-okay. So it's not wine o'clock then, lol. No, sadly, like I said, life stuff has got me anxious, so I figured adding alcohol into life stuff is not a good idea. I try not to drink in negative thought moods, so. Due to voices, Spirits Mundi, I totally will. Hi, folks, and it's always wine o'clock somewhere in the world. Believe me, I know a lot of my friends have been doing that. Mackenzie, I do honestly argue that Season 2 is worse because there's no quality beard and also no Tasha. That is very, very true. Tasha does save a lot of Season 1, and I really wish she had gotten more to do. I mean, I'm sure the actress does too. That's why she wanted to leave, because she didn't get a lot to do. But she was very mishandled, so she does save a lot of that first season, even if she is poorly handled. Okay, so now that we've kind of gotten things going and I'm feeling a little less anxious, thank you everyone for sitting with me for a second here as I kind of move through some anxiety on life stuff. I appreciate that. You guys are all wonderful. So, first things first, before we get started and reading, I called this one the Season 1 finale because that is where we're at. We are in the last 3 episodes of Season 1 from my fan fiction. Unfortunately, that also does mean that Season 2, there's only 4 episodes that I wrote, so there's probably only one more of these fan fiction readings that I'll be doing for Mirror Wars, but I do also have some other fan fiction that I wrote when I was a kid that I can probably dredge up, so we can have some fun with that later on down the road. Also, just to give you teases, at the end of the stream, I will be announcing what I will be doing for my next streams, which will be starting this weekend. I'm planning on doing a more regular stream as well. So I will be announcing what that is. I'll be announcing what that is at the end of this stream right here. And don't worry, I'll still be doing fan fiction readings. We will have some fun. I might read other fan fiction from other people. I just need to figure out how to do that because I don't want to. I dislike the idea of reading other people's fan fiction. I'm fine with making fun of my own fan fiction, but I dislike making fun of other people's fan fiction. But if I can find fan fiction from terrible people who deserve to be made fun of, I'd be fine with that. Like some evil, awful person who wrote some weird fanfic, I'd be glad to read that. But I dislike making fun of other people's fan fiction, regardless of how bad it is. Okay. So, before we get started, first things first, I need to pick some voices. So, I don't know who exactly is going to be in these episodes, but we do know we have some regular characters. So, for James Obeska, the captain of the ship, what voice would all of you in the chat want me to do for James Obeska, Captain James Obeska? So give me an accent, person to imitate, ridiculous or as far ranging the better, because even if you haven't heard me do it and I do a terrible version of it, I'll still have some fun. So please let me know, what voice would you want from James Obeska, the captain? Wellington Smith says Southern drawl. Smurf. How do I do a Smurf voice? I need to think about that one. I need to like listen to a Smurf thing. I couldn't even think of one off the top of my head. Antonio Banderas. Ooh, I like Antonio Banderas. Okay. I will say Antonio Banderas. Name, you killed my father. Prepare to die. That is not Antonio Banderas. He's the Nasonex bee. Right? Antonio Banderas is the Nasonex bee. Hello, I am Nasonex. I actually met Antonio Banderas one time in my life. Now I'm a vampire. It is fine. It is Antonio Banderas. He is a vampire. So for Captain James Obeska, it's Antonio Banderas. I met him once when I was working for LGBT magazine, and he appeared at an event, and I was standing next to him. I have to think of Nasonex bee. I can't do an Antonio Banderas, but I can do like my foe, like Nasonex bee. So that's what we're going with. All right, so James Obeska is the Nasonex bee. Now we need to do Decker. Yes, Admiral Decker. What voice we want for Admiral Decker? I already saw some funny ones already out there. Helium Squeaky from Tom Moore. Hi, this is Admiral Decker. How are you? I'm gonna stop the mirror universe from blowing things up. We're going with that. That's gonna be Admiral Decker. So Nasonex B for James Obeska. And hello, this is Admiral Decker. And last one. I'm sure I'll come up with more characters as we go along, but the mysterious man with an X on his face. Yeah, my squeaky helium voice is Elmo. Okay, so man with an X on his face. What do you want his voice to be? The first one that I see pop up, Simpsons spotty teenager. Hey there, guys. I'm working at McDonald's. People who work at McDonald's are actually freaking heroes right now, so I don't want to make fun of that too much. But let's do Simpsons spotty teenager for Admiral for the spy. So hello, I'm the spy. I got the X in my face. So those are our characters. We got like weird a helium Elmo for Admiral Decker. We got the Nasonex B for James Obeska. And then we got for Spy, and I'm sure we'll come up with more as we go along. But those are our starting ones, and so we should jump right in. And I'm also going to do the voice for radio for all of the narration in all of the text parts. Yes, the texty parts of the words is what we're going to do. All right, everyone. So for our first episode of the night. Yes, blah. So, for our first episode of the night, it is called Her Flags Unfurled. Oh, there's another lovely author's note, so this is going to be wonderful. Star Trek Mirrors. Oh, no. Oh, I forgot I did this. So I'll actually say this in a normal voice. It'll be a little bit sad, especially considering stuff. But Star Trek Mirror Wars, Episode 10, Her Flags Unfurled by James Earl. This episode is in memory of Margaret Stegman, who was my stepfather's mother, who must have passed away at the same time that I did this video. So I forgot that I dedicated this to her. I didn't know her all that well, but she did pass away around this time, and I know it meant a lot to my stepdad that as small of a gesture it is to put it in memory of her fan fiction, but I guess it is taking a moment to remember here. So I know I'm going to be making fun of this, but just want to say in memory of Margaret Stegman, my stepfather's mother, this episode, and this in back to the author's note, back to the fun. Author's note. Thank you for reading. Wait, I just want to make sure this isn't like. Okay, no, this is straight up good. Thank you for reading Star Trek Mirror Wars. I hope you like all of my episodes as much as I love writing them. This episode contains flashbacks. Please make sure you look at the dates on on each of the sections as they change and are not in chronological order. You dummies. Are you stupid? Make sure, because I'm not good enough of a writer to let you know. Oh, I forgot to do one thing before we get started. Well, let me finish this author note. Just thought I would mention it so you don't get confused. Thanks again for reading. So we actually begin reading, that I'm going to have a little bit of fun for everyone. So get ready for this before we start reading. Ready?
Butterfly in the sky.
I don't know if you can still hear me, but I can't hear the song, so I hope you're having fun.
It's in a book, a reading rainbow. I can go anywhere. Friends to know and ways to grow, a reading rainbow. I can be anything. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading rainbow. A reading rainbow.
All right, we are back. I hope everyone enjoyed that. I had to do it. So that one should be, hopefully that was a bit fun for everybody. I put some work into these things. Okay. I know I'm not LeVar Burton, sadly, but you can make do with me. All right, let's get into the reading. Part 1, October 17th, 2602, 1600 hours. Sitting in the dark, James stared at Sarah's face. Looking into her face, James forgot everything. The war, the universe, even who he was. For if she was truly gone, he would be nothing. He had been sitting next to Sarah for what seemed like hours, sitting in the darkened sickbay on the Majestic. All the nurses and doctors had left the room and were tending to the rest of the wounded. The battle was now theirs. Actually, kind of prescient considering the world today. There had been nothing more than they had been nothing more that they could have done for Sarah. As soon as James had heard of that Sarah was hurt, he had come down to sickbay as fast as possible. Careful to stay out of the way, James watched the doctors work as hard as possible to save Sarah. But after 2 hours of work, they realized that there was nothing more they could do. Make this bigger. And James was left alone in the dark to be with Sarah, all alone. I love that he's just being left to sit in there's no lights in sickbay. You're just sitting in the dark. Just sit and brood. Let's see. A single tear came down James's cheek. He was nothing without Sarah. If it hadn't been for Sarah, the Majestic would not even be here. James went back through as in I threw a ball. James went back through all the times they had together, for Sarah was going to die. Bum, bum, bum. Now this is where the flashbacks come in, folks. Part 2, February 24th, 2599. Oh, I'm sorry, I also forgot. I need some mood lighting. Now it's a flashback. Lieutenant Commander James Obeska stood at his tactical station on board the USS Huron. He looked over at the science station at his wife, Lieutenant Commander Sarah Perlark. She had just come on duty, so this is 3 years earlier. James smiled at her, and she, noticing him, smiled back. Suddenly, a beeping noise started from James's console, signaling a hail. All right, what did I choose for James? Oh, he was the Naso next to me. Captain, said James to Captain Verrock, a Vulcan. We are experiencing a hail from Starfleet Command. That's not Nasonex B. We are experiencing. I can't do that. Why can't I do the Nasonex? I am the Nasonex. We are receiving a hail from Starfleet Command. You're gonna have to put up with that, folks. That's the closest I can get to Antonio Banderas. Put it up, said Verrock, sitting very still in his captain's chair, with his only movement being the blinking of his eyes as he looked at the holographic transmitter. Suddenly, beeping from his underpants. Clever. Suddenly, the holographic image of Admiral Klug appeared. He had just become the head of Starfleet Command at the start of this year. He was the first Klingon to ever achieve this rank in Starfleet. Captain Varrock, it is good to see you again, said Klug, looking at Varrock. No period. It is good to see you, said Varrock. Starfleet has a problem. It seems that the remnants of the Romulan government have sent 5 warbirds under cloak to attack Earth. We only just found out about this a few hours ago through our contacts on Romulus. Earth's defenses are going up now, but we might not have enough time. Most Starfleet ships are too far away. We are ordering the Huron to Wolf 359, along with the USS Kelborn and Wonderful. I love how these names just got kind of like Majestic and the USS Wonderful. These are the ship names that we use at this time. We got kind of lazy. You are to defend that sector until Earth's defenses can be put up. The USS Xerxes and USS Enterprise will also be arriving to aid you, but they are almost half a day away. How long until the warbirds reach Wolf 359? Asked Varrock. 5 hours. Ooh, hurts my voice. Be prepared, Captain, and good luck. Yeah, apparently Worf did not become an admiral in this timeline. Screw Worf. No, I love Worf. Vulcans don't believe in luck, said Varrock, but I will accept it all the same. Huron out. James closed the channel and watched as Varrock stood up and walked over to him. Go to Wolf 359 at warp 12. Prepare battle drills until we get there. I wonder if Varrock's a secret Romulan spy. Bum bum bum. Part 3, October 17th, 2602, 1630 hours. This is back in normal time, so not a flashback anymore. As Blake felt the transporter beam let go of the hold it had on him, he also felt the hot sand hit his face. Unprepared for the sudden assault, Blake fell backwards from the force of the wind. The man standing up next to Blake laughed and reached out his hand to Blake. Blake felt a sharp rock on the ground beneath him. He grabbed the man's hand, and as he stood up, Blake used his other hand to attack the man. Excuse me. But it was no use. The man grabbed Blake's hand, stopping his attack, and punched Blake in the gut, letting Blake fall down again. And this time, he didn't offer to help Blake up. What was the voice that I had for X-Man? I know it was like, it was Elmo for Decker. But who is oh crap! What did I choose for? Apologies. Who did I choose for? Spotty Teenager. That's right. Nice try. Admirable, actually, but pointless and useless. The transporter on the ship was only active with my voice. You would have been stuck in this desert for the rest of your very short life. Grumbling, Blake stood up and looked around. They were indeed in a desert. Not dessert, with nothing around as far as the eye could see. Why are we here? Don't worry, Blake. You'll know soon enough. And with that, the man started walking to the right. Blake stood, rooted to the spot, feeling that he had been here before. Coming, Blake. Blake followed the man, but only a few minutes later, they stopped at the top of a sand dune. Now what? Just a moment, Blake. You can be impatient. Only a few seconds later, a huge door opened up in the ground beneath the man. Through the door were stairs leading into a dark pit. Coming, said the man as he walked down the stairs. Blake again followed the man, feeling the urge to run away with every step. He was sure he had been her before. He just couldn't put his finger on when. But that was ridiculous. He had never been in a desert. Finally, at the bottom of the stairs, except for on Vulcan, which you were totally on just a few episodes ago, but we'll forget that. Finally, at the bottom of the stairs, there was a large metal door. I must warn you, Blake, for what is behind this door will give you a momentary shock. Oh boy, this voice is fun. said the man who was slowly opening the door. As the man opened the door, Blake saw what was behind it. Blake stared into the face of the impossible. He looked at himself. Part 4, January 24th, 2599, 0745 hours. This is back in time. Yet again. Varrock stood on the bridge looking at the holographic images of a Romulan commander and Captain William Decker. He's captain now. A few minutes before, 5 Romulan warbirds had uncloaked and had hailed the lead ship, the USS Kelborn, Decker's ship. James had never met Decker before, but he had heard he was a great captain. Now the Huron was monitoring the conversation between the 2 ship commanders via the holographic emitters on the bridge. Romulan voice. He's gonna have a southern drawl. I say, move your ships out of the way of these warbirds, or pay the price, said the Romulan, standing with his aggressive stance. Huh? Let me repeat, said Decker. You have violated Federation space. I demand you return to Romulan space immediately. If you don't, we will be forced to fire. The Romulan smirked. I say, we are not scared of these pitiful starships. Fire if you will, said the Romulan, and his image disappeared. Elmo Demand. Oh, yes, Foghorn Lane Horror Romulan is not my favorite thing. I'm going to have to use that voice in another character, too, because it's too much fun. Seconds later, James received a message from the Kelborn. Nasal XB. We are being ordered to fire on the warbirds. That's a horrible Antonio Banderas, said James. Fire at will, said Varrock. An hour later, the battle still raged on. One of the warbirds had been destroyed by the Wonderful, while the Huron had sustained damage to the lead warbird. While the Kelborn held off 2 weaker warbirds trying to flank the other Starfleet ships while they focused on the other 2 stronger ones. Ooh, that's a mouthful of stuff. James felt sweat roll down his right cheek from his wet hair. Small fires, not bigger than a hand, were dancing around the damaged bridge. Sparks continued to fly out of nearby consoles, adding the continued heat of the room. James had unbuttoned his uniform to cool himself off, revealing some sexy chest hair. That's not in there, but I added it anyways for flavor. But it did little to the stifling heat. Varrock was sitting the command chair, giving orders to the crew. Fire 2 torpedoes at the lead warbird, aiming for their weapons, while firing the port phasers at the other ship. Sir, we are only one port phaser still We only have one port phaser still active, said James, looking down at his console. And that's where another quote mark. Suddenly there, was a bright flash as the ship shook from as another barrage from the warbirds hit their mark on the Huron. There was a pause where James heard Varrock say nothing, and he quickly looked up. A beam from the ceiling, all these dang beams in Starfleet ships just falling out of nowhere. A beam from the ceiling had fallen on Varrock and had impaled him in the chest. Blood poured out of the wound. Ah, geez, there's my dark moment there for you. James quickly bolted from his station. Going to Varrock, he tapped the man's comm badge. Obeska to sickbay. The captain's injured. He's been impaled. I am transporting him to... let's see. Aye, sir. We'll be ready. We're going to have to start using the cargo bay to put some of the wounded soon. Do it. James watched as Varrock disappeared in the blue haze of the transporter. James took the captain's chair, and I'm sure, there's a ton of rocks all over the bridge. James took the captain's chair. He was third in command of the Huron, but the first officer had been killed shortly after the battle had begun, when a phaser hit from a warbird had caused him to fly out of his chair and hit his head so hard on a console it snapped his neck. Jesus Christ. James looked over his shoulder to see another officer take his place at the tactical console. He looked over at Sarah, still at her station. She caught his eye and gave him a slight small. That's all. He looked over at Sarah, still at her station. She caught his eye and gave him a slight small, giving James the reassurance he needed to take command. A slight small. Not entirely sure what that is, but there you go. Part 5, October 17, 2602, 1645, back in the present. Across the room, chained to the wall, was Blake's double, his mirror counterpart. Hello, Blake. Say hello to your double. A small-time smuggler in our universe. Note very important, said the man. Scars littered the man's face. It looked as if he was dehydrated. Blake wasn't sure to feel sorry for the man, feeling angry at having his double being captured like this, or to feel nothing at all for the sorry excuse for a man. Someone not even worthy of the name Blake Terval, because we know Blake Terval is such a wonderfully important person. Why have you brought me here? Asked Blake. I have an offer for you. Do it for me, and you will be released back into your beloved Terra Empire. If not, you will end up like your friend here. I will never allow myself to be destroyed like this man. The man walked into the room and pressed some buttons on a wall panel on the right side wall near the chained-up man. Next to the panel, a small opening appeared in the wall. The man reached inside and pulled out a Klingon ceremonial dagger. I wonder where this is going to go. Slowly, he walked towards Blake's double. Before Blake knew what had happened, the man stabbed the prisoner in the stomach. Jesus, all the stabbing and impaling in this episode, allowing a pool of blood to flow from it. Hello, Phil. Welcome to the reading. Before Blake knew, the man screamed in agony. Blake couldn't stand to hear it. It was his scream. It was the scream that he had heard come out of his own mouth dozens of times, and hearing it from another man was disturbing. The man felt limp. Blake stared at his own dead body. He wondered if that was how he would look when he died. Weak, destroyed, with his eyes empty of the lifetime that was once in them. Actually, I will say that that's actually not a half bad, sequence there. Seeing yourself die has got to be pretty kind of disturbing. Looking at me having some moments of semi-decent writing ability, or at least concepts. Blake, you won't be tortured. You'll end up like that. Sit down. Like I said, I have an offer to make. Part 6, January 24th, 2599, 0930 hours. 20 minutes after Varrock had left the bridge, James was still in command. They had destroyed 2 more warbirds, but many lives had already been lost. There are too many, for all of the stupid display from the Romulans, thought James as he ordered Ensign Zanser, the man who had taken James's station, to fire on another warbird. Suddenly, as the phasers from both the Huron and the Wonderful hit the warbird, an explosion occurred inside of it. Back us up. I think it's going to blow, said James. Sir, I am detecting a warp core breach on the ship, said Sarah, still at her science station. James's eyes opened wide in horror. Romulan ships use highly experimental warp drives, allowing them to travel as fast as warp 20. Don't even, all the lizard people. All of them. All of the lizard people. Salamander people. Let's see. If one of them were to breach, the results would be disastrous. Back us away now. Full impulse. Prepare to go to warp. This is my Nasonex. Hail the Kelborn and wonderful look about the breach, if they haven't detected it already, said James, standing up in his fear and apprehension. Sir, 7 seconds to warp core breach. 6, 5, said Sarah as she started the countdown. Go to warp now, said James, almost yelling. Going to warp 5 now, sir, said Zanser at his station. The warp core is breaching, said Sarah. On screen, said James. On the view screen, the entire bridge crew watched as the warbird exploded in a mess of bodies. Oh, I love how this gets cut off by the thing at the bottom there. A mess of metal bodies and fire. The explosions were enormous compared to the ship it had originated from, engulfing the entire area where the ship had been. James watched in horror as the final warbird was engulfed in the horrible depths of the fire as it tried to escape its fate, and as if seemingly unquenched by the destruction of a second ship, the wave of fire hit the Wonderful, which hadn't made it out in time. As James watched, the Wonderful, trying to go to warp, using only its one remaining warp nacelles, was engulfed by the fire, destroyed in a matter of seconds, taking with it the souls of over 300 men and women. And there was nothing James could do but just sit and watch. Part 7, October 18, 2602, 0100 hours. James watched Sarah helplessly as the doctors prepared her body for transport. He sat in his chair, watched everything going on around him. He watched it all, and yet he wasn't watching at all. Sarah had been medically dying for hours now. I do wonder what the point of this, backstory was. It didn't, connect him to Sarah in any way. Anyways, Sarah had been medically dying for hours now, but there was still a chance. At Starfleet Medical at Earth, there was a new medical procedure that could help Sarah. A new medical procedure. I mean, it's not wrong. It is a new medical procedure, so grammatically correct, if not silly. She still had a chance, if only a small one. As he watched everything go on, for that was all he could do. That's a sentence that I wrote. You're welcome. James went through it all in his mind, every memory, for this may be the last time he would see Sarah when she was alive. James stood up and walked over to Sarah. The doctors worked around him, knowing that this may be his last time to see his wife. I know, I just said that 2 sentences ago. James looked down at her face, so beautiful, so lovely, so male-gazy. He stared at the face that he had loved for years. He knew that at that moment, that if she died, he would die as well inside. Oh, so sad, James. Yes, Sarah has definitely been fridged. So medical they named it twice. He stepped back and the doctors prepared Sarah for the transport. And it's going to get cut off for your folks because Tripod is a free website. As the blue light of the transporter took the still body of his wife, another single tear, rolled down James's cheek. Not his cheek, his cheek. Suddenly his mouth opened. I love you, said, I'm assuming James, because that's where it gets cut off. Oh. So I hope that was fun for everybody. Oh, that was enjoyable. I do like doing the foghorn leghorn voice. So I gotta make sure I have another character. Whatever character is gonna have a lot of lines. The second one's gonna definitely be a southern drawl one. And Christy, I'm glad that you made it back. I was very sad to see you go. So I'm glad I talked about your channel for a little bit right before you left, or right after you left. So I hope you got some people to check you out over there. And yep, Sarah is definitely getting fridged. I don't know if she survives. I think she does. I mean, I wouldn't have put up this surprising new medical procedure if Sarah wasn't going to survive at all. So I'm assuming she lives. All right. Next episode. Star Trek Mirror Wars, episode 111. Boldly Going On. It's a decent title. By James Earl. Part 1, October 20th, 2602, 1400 hours. I'm going to try and give this voice a little bit more nuance. We'll see. James had been sitting in his chair for nearly 5 hours. He had not eaten, drunk, or even spoke in that time. He had been staring at Sarah's unmoving form lying in her bed. Way to be a creep, man. Just a complete and utter creep. I'm just going to stare at you for 5 hours without eating, sleeping, or speaking. Just staring right at you. Depressed. Because I'm a moody, broody captain dude. And that's what I do. Just staring. Alright, a few nurses came in every hour or so to check Sarah's vitals, creepily noticing that James is staring down at the body of his love without moving. Just imagining what it is for those nurses who just come in. It's like, hey, I'm just gonna check your vitals. So you can just keep standing there, creepily not saying word or moving, eating or drinking. Just gonna check. All right. Just go back to like the nurse's station. Like, that guy's really creepy. It's very strange. The doctors had told James that Sarah might not survive. It was touch and go right now. Sarah had been in surgery a couple times already, but now the doctors were waiting to see how her body would react. And James just watched. Part 2, October 20th, 2602, 14:45 hours. Henry Teller looked down at his console. Although he was staring at the many lights and buttons in front of him, his mind was not. Everyone just is very flighty in their thoughts in these stories. He was thinking about Sarah. He felt hopeless. Excuse me. But he had been a friend of James and Sarah ever since childhood. Excuse me. He wanted to be down on Earth where James watching He wanted to be down on Earth with James watching Sarah, just standing there creepily next to James, just staring at Sarah. He cared for them both. They were both dear friends. But he was stuck here on the Majestic until his duty shift ended. He would give anything to be down there. He turned to look at Furby Turkall, who, normally at his tactical station, sat in the captain's chair. Do I want to? Yeah, I'm going to give Henry the Foghorn Leghorn voice. I say, Furby, how long until my shift ends? Henry asked the Bajoran. Furby looked at the display at his armrest and then looked at Henry. Another hour. That's like my Furby voice. Henry turned back to his console. I hate this, he whispered under his breath. James, Part 3, October 20th, 2602, 15:15 hours. James splashed the water on his face. He hadn't slept for more than 2 hours in the past 2 days. I'm assuming for the other 46 hours he's just been staring at Sarah. The water felt refreshing on his face. He cleaned off his face and walked out of the bathroom. He went back to Sarah, navigating the corridors until he found the room labeled 815. By the way, points if you... I remember what this is a reference to, but if you know what 815 is a reference to, points to you. And you get to pick the next voice that I do. If the first person in the chat who knows what 815 is, what the reference is to, then you get to pick the next voice that I come up with. But before he could sit back down in his regular chair, a nurse came into his room. Mr. Obeska, Admiral Killar has been attempting to reach you for a few minutes now, said the female Andorian nurse, who was dressed in a Starfleet voice. Tom Moore, you have guessed correctly what 815 was in reference to. It was lost. So, when I get to pick another character voice, you get to pick the next voice. All right. Also, just for those who know, the numbers in Lost were 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42, and 108 if you add all of those together. That is something that is just, sadly, probably going to be in my brain until I die. 4, 8, 15, 16, 23, 42. I don't know why I still remember it, but it's going to be there. I'm going to quick tilt this down so you can see me a little bit better. Okay. But before he could sit down in the back in his regular chair, a nurse came into the room. No, I already said that. James sighed. Can you route her to this terminal? Motioning to the small terminal next to Sarah's bed. Absolutely. The signal will be transmitted in a minute, sir, said the nurse, who promptly returned and left. James moved his chair to the terminal, which was at eye level. A minute later, the face of Admiral Killar appeared before him. Tom, pick your voice, by the way. You're gonna get the voice of Admiral Killar. The women looked the same as she had a few months ago when she had ordered the USS Majestic into the battle at Vulan, not Vulcan, Vulan, the first battle of this horrific war. All right, Tom, what's your voice? You get to pick it. Fun will now commence. I never watched a single episode of Lost either. Tom, don't mean to put you on the spot. We can get to the next one if you don't have one in a second. I'll just sort of catch up on what people are saying in the chat for a second here while we wait. If you don't think of anything in a minute or two, I'll just keep going. Don't worry, Tom. No stress. Morgan Freeman does French accent. Oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, thanks for that one. Okay. Who? Oh, boy. Morgan Freeman. I'm Morgan. How would Morgan Freeman do a French accent? I'm Morgan Freeman. Hello. This is me, doing a Morgan Freeman voice. Now I'm going to try and take this voice, this cadence, and make it French. Ha ha. I am French. I am Morgan Freeman, if it is French. I have to keep a very low energy to be able to do this voice. This is actually not all that bad. It's kind of a French accent, but with a weird Morgan Freeman cadence. I hope it works for all of you. James, it is good to see you, she said with a smile. It is always good to see you. How is Sarah? Asked Kalar. James looked over at Sarah's medical bed. Not well, he said, turning back to Kalar. I'm sorry. With luck, she will be fine. James, I have some bad news. Admiral Klug has ordered the Majestic back to the First Fleet. What? Asked James, almost jumping out of the chair in anger and surprise. How can he do that? I can't leave Sarah. And besides, the First Fleet has lost almost half of the... Getting the French in there now. Has lost almost half of the ship in the last battle. Morgan Freeman, French. That is the reason the Klug wants you back. He wants to regroup Starfleet in case there is retaliation after the attack on Earth. Admiral, you can't honestly expect me to leave Sarah behind, James started to say before he was interrupted. Listen, James, I understand, said Kalar. I don't think you do, said James, his voice rising to the point just below yelling. Oh, God, Tom, you gave me a difficult one. Morgan Freeman. James, you have your orders. I'm sorry, but there is nothing I can do. And very quickly, the screen went black. You can't... Oh, God, he's just screaming. So this is going to be like Captain Kirk. I am Captain Kirk. You can't do this to me. You hear me? You can't. James yelled futilely at the empty screen. I'm getting like French in everything now. Thanks. Thanks, Tom. Knowing full well that she couldn't hear him anymore. Part 4, October 20th, 2602, 1600 hours. James stood on a hill in the cemetery. Whoa. All right. James stood on a hill in the cemetery. Flowers in hand, he stood before a single grave, far away from the rest of the cemetery. A lone grave on the top of the hill, like a guardian of the rest. The clouds above were gray, threatening to release the rain that held them. Oh, wow. Did I really fridge? Oh, no. Okay. James was in his Starfleet uniform looking down at the grave. I hope you're doing well, said James. Nasonex. Sorry, it's been so long since my last visit. I hadn't had the time. He stopped for a now, so I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but it's kind of driving me crazy at the moment. He stopped for a moment as if thinking of the right thing to say. Inside, but you knew what to do. I just wished I could know what to do. I miss you. James stood on the hill for a few more minutes, and then he placed down his flowers and walked away. See you later, Dad, said James as he walked away. A few moments later, rain started to fall, as if it was like a music video, just like walking away from a grave and rain just falling, as if the sky itself was weeping. Oh, just all the drama, all of it. Let's see. Part 5, October 20th, 2602, 1800 hours. James waited for the turbo lift to fully stop, hearing the hum of the lift stop. He stepped forward and the door opened. He walked out onto his bridge. Captain on the bridge, said Furby, who stood up to give James his chair. James walked in front of the chair but didn't sit. He looked at Henry, who turned to look at James. Set course to regroup with the First Fleet, said James. Henry, looking surprised, started to say, What? Just do it, Henry, interrupted James. I will be in my ready room. Excuse me. No one said anything as James walked across the bridge and entered his ready room. He's all broody and moody. A few minutes later, Henry stood up from his console. He had set the ship on autopilot, sending it straight towards the First Fleet rendezvous coordinates. He walked over to the ready room door. knowing that James wouldn't let him. Oh, also Ringworld, thank you so much. Wait, why is the ice cream truck serving a neighborhood now? I don't know why. That's a longer conversation. I don't think this neighborhood in Los Angeles takes things particularly seriously. With all the current stuff going on in the world. I'll talk about it in a little minute. But let's finish this off and have some fun. A few minutes later, Henry stood up from his console. He had set the ship on autopilot, sending it straight towards the first fleet rendezvous coordinates. He walked over to the ready room door. Knowing that James wouldn't let him come in, he didn't bother to press the button to allow James to let him in. He just walked into the room. As the door moved out of his way and Henry walked in, he saw James sitting at his desk looking at something. Henry realized it was a picture of Sarah taken a few years ago. So James is just staring right at that picture. No, that was totally fine, Ringworld. It wasn't meant to be depressing. It's funny because I'm still in this voice. It's funny because you can't really hear it. I don't know if you can hear it on the mic, but it's the same. It's like the same song that I hear. Like they park right outside my apartment, and so it's just like. It's maddening. It's the same song for like 20 minutes, and it drives me insane. And the ice cream's great. I've had it before. I wouldn't get it now just because of all the craziness in the world, but it's good ice cream, so I don't mind it. It just drives me crazy for a little while here and there. Okay. So James has been staring creepily at the picture of Sarah, as he's wont to do. Let's see. James never looked up as Henry entered. "I knew you would come," said James, still not looking. "I say, well, you know me too well," said Henry with a slight smile. He walked over to a chair. "Listen, I have to do, there's like, to get into accents, I have to have like my little quirks, so I say, listen, I know what you're going through. She is a good friend. I just want you to know I'm here for you." James still didn't look away. "Henry, thanks, but right now, I want to be left alone." Henry didn't move. He expect this. I say, James, not going to let you sit in this room alone, depressed. You got to get out now, Henry," said James, slightly harder and louder. "No," said Henry bluntly. James said, standing up. God, this guy is very screamy. "Leave!" I said to leave me alone. As he yelled the last few words in his anger, he knocked everything on his desk, just shoving it all off, and along with Sarah's picture onto the floor with a sweep of his hand. I wonder if the picture's gonna have a crack in it, and he's just gonna be like, pick it up and I'll be all sad. I wonder if that's how it's gonna happen. Henry immediately stood up. I say, "Listen, James, I will be right outside on the bridge if you need me." Toxic masculinity at its finest, folks. Henry turned and walked out. He wondered what he was going to do to help his friend. Part 6, October 20th, 2602, 1900 hours. James sat in the back table in the crew lounge. A few people had come over to say something about Sarah. Each time, James had said nothing to them, and eventually people stopped coming over. James, usually social and friendly, wanted nothing to do with anyone at the moment. He took a sip of his drink. It wasn't even a real drink, James mused. It was just made to simulate the taste of an alcoholic drink. It didn't even do that well. Guess they still haven't gotten synthahol right. Taking another sip, he started to think about Sarah again. This dude needs to get himself together. Part 7, October 20th, 2602, 2100 hours. The lights were off. The quarters were dark, save for one lamp on by the bed. And James sat at the end of the bed, not moving at all. The only way it was possible to know that James was still alive was the soft sound of his breath. Sarah's crack. What is going on in the chat right now? You folks are crazy. In his hand, he held a picture of Sarah. This is becoming a southern accent again. Taken 7 years ago at their wedding day. She looked just as beautiful as she always had. In fact, even more beautiful that day in her wedding dress, smiling as the camera. She was smiling as the camera. James had left the crew lounge an hour ago and had come straight to his room. He had been looking at this picture ever since. He had not even moved. This dude just like sits and doesn't move. This is straight up the room, like Galvion, as you say, Tommy Wiseau style. This is straight up like, you're tearing me apart, Lisa. Then suddenly James dropped the picture. The frame broke again as it smashed in the floor beneath it, not on the floor, in the floor. The glass shattered and scattered across the floor. It's like a Dr. Seuss novel. It shattered and scattered and smattered the floor. And James looked at the remains of the picture frame, and then he started to cry. Wow. A whole episode of just James being a broody boy. Just a broody boy. Oh boy. All right, back to episodes. All right, we're on to the season 1 finale. And it looks to be a 2-parter. Betrayer of the Light. That means Betrayer of the Light. Part 1. Let's read the description because I gotta get into this. When a lonely building stands on the ruins of a dead world, what secrets can it hold? As the crew of the Majestic learns more, one crew member may not survive the events that follow. Someone's gonna die. Who is it gonna be? Is it Sarah? Is it Broody Boy James? Is it other characters that we care about? Who knows? We'll find out. Oh, this is so much fun. I'm enjoying this. I hope you guys are having fun too. Gonna finish off my lemonade. And also the ice cream truck, I think, left. But yeah, no, Ringworld, I know you mentioned it earlier. I'll mention it briefly. The community that I live in is, it's a very nice community, but I do know that they're not really taking all this coronavirus stuff very seriously. People aren't even wearing masks when they should be. And this isn't a judgment necessarily on people. I mean, people should be taking care of themselves and things like that, but I also know that this is a much more lower income area, and so I kind of understand they're like, we don't trust people in power sort of thing. So I've had an interesting discussion with my neighbors and stuff about it, being like, you should care about this, but I also know that they're kind of frustrated being told what to do, and understandably so. So I guess that's part of the reason that I think a lot of people did. Mackenzie, got to go. My girlfriend called. Well, I hope you come back later on, and I hope you and your girlfriend have a wonderful conversation. Catch up on some of the stuff. Someone will sustain a slight bruise to their upper arm. Seal. That is wonderful. Tom Moore. Oh yes, I crease up every time you try to do a French accent. Oh, this is French. I am reading the French accent. It just gets higher and higher as it goes. See, no, this is my French. So you're wonderful. So I hope to see you soon, Mackenzie. You are wonderful. All right. So the season 1 finale. Finalu. Morgan Freeman on helium. That's my French, is essentially Morgan Freeman on helium. All right. Let's do this. The season 1 finale. Part 1, October 21st, 2602, 0100 hours. Patreon goal for an animatic adaptation. I should do that. That would actually be fantastic. A whole episode of just James being a broody boy. It would be fun. The Emperor sat in his room. Ooh, we get to have the Emperor back. The Emperor sat in his room, waiting. It had been a little while since his friends had contacted him. The Emperor has friends? This was to be expected, as the plan that they had set in motion were almost complete. As the plans that they had set in motion were almost completed. He would have liked more updates on the progress, but he knew his friend was busy. Suddenly, as the Emperor was about to leave, a small beep signaled that a message was coming in. The Emperor quickly walked over to the terminal, which sat upon a plain brown desk with nothing much else on it. No pictures, no personal items, no memories of any kind. It was as if this man had none at all, as if he were all alone, even though I contradicted that a paragraph earlier saying he has friends. The Emperor sat in his seat, looking at the monitor. To be able to contact the Emperor without alerting the ship's crew required a code. The Emperor had only entrusted 5 people with that code, and 2 of them were dead. That's not a good code to have, then. But the Emperor had a very good idea who it was. I wonder if it's the only other person we've been talking about. As he turned the screen on, the face of his friend, X-shaped scar and all, was before him.
Are the plans ready to be put into motion?
Asked the Emperor candidly. Yes, sir. I've been working on it for a few months now. We should be ready to begin very shortly. Within a few days, in fact. As he said this, a smile crossed his face. Apparently I can't spell smile. It's like a big recurring thing. The Emperor knew that victory over the alternate universe was soon at hand. Part 2, October 22, November 22nd, 2602, 0300 hours. Furby Turkal stood at his console watching the bridge. The USS Majestic had recently been called back to the fleet to prepare to set out again. Furby, a Bajoran, preferred it this way. The ship had been on Earth for a few days, and Furby really wasn't a person to relax. He liked being in action. Still, it was a few more hours until they reached the fleet, and the captain hadn't come to the bridge yet. So Furby allowed his thoughts to wander slightly. A character with a wandering mind? How surprising in a James Earl written book story thing. Suddenly, a beep sounded from his console, surprised him. It was an incoming hail. He quick checked the message. It was to be sent directly to Captain Obeska. See, I'm seeing a Furby with a Bajoran earring now. That is 100% what you should be envisioning. It is a giant Furby with a Bajoran earring. Furby hit his comm badge. Furby to Captain James. A few seconds later, a tired voice telling Furby he had just woken up his captain answered.
What is it, Furby?
Sorry to wake you, sir, and you have a message.
I'm assuming Ensign Furby's like the Ensign Kim of this one. He's just never going to get a promotion. A few moments later, James sat at his comm panel. He pressed a sequence of buttons to allow the message through to his terminal. On it, the face of Admiral Decker appeared. I gave Decker was Elmo.
Huh? Admiral!
Oh, wait, no.
Admiral, it is nice to see you again,
said James.
Same here, James,
said Decker in a casual tone, but his voice quickly changed.
James, I'm sorry about your wife. Is she going to pull through?
James suddenly seemed to be even more tired.
I don't know. She could go any way.
I really am sorry. Listen, James, I have some good news. A couple days ago, our scouts started finding evidence that many of the enemy ships have been leaving this universe. Today, we have confirmed that of the hundreds of ships that were here as of last month, only 72 remain.
Ooh, that voice like hurts my jaw.
And even those show signs of preparation to retreat. It may be the calm before the storm, I know, but James, I think we may have won.
Ooh, that voice. I did not know Elmo's voice just hurts your jaw. Whew. Part 3, October 22nd, 2602, 0700 hours. James sat on the bridge. His thoughts were still on Sarah. After over a month of non-stop battles, it was over. James thought it was a bit premature. He didn't like this. It didn't sit right with him. The alternate universe was winning. So why retreat? Still, the crew needed the moral boost. Suddenly, another beep sounded from Furby's console.
What is it, Furby?
Asked James, standing up from his chair.
Well, sir, I just picked up a strange energy surge from a nearby planet. It's never seen this type of energy before.
James walked over the console to look at the readings.
What planet is this?
Terrier 9, sir,
said Furby.
An industrial planet, but a few hundred years away from warp technology.
Okay, that actually makes sense. Okay, so pre-warp technology. James turned to Henry, his longtime friend and helmsman. redirect to Theria 9 and send a message to the fleet telling them about the energy surge.
Huh? I'm Furby. Right, Katrina? Huh? This is Furby's voice. I'm Mickey Mouse.
Oh no, Katrina retracted it. It was funny. Part 4, October 22nd, 2602, 1400 hours. A few hours later, the Majestic was in orbit of Theria 9. The planet below looked beautiful. As James looked at the Earth-like planet, he longed for Sarah, remember her beauty and how she was on Earth. But as the planet turned, a new continent blocked from view on the other side of the planet was shown, and James was shocked and disgusted at the horror. The green, vibrant color that had dominated the other land masses on the planet was now a dark red. Evidence of large-scale destruction was all over. Only one thing could have caused it. Starship weapons fire from space. An entire civilization destroyed.
Scans show that the entire inhabitants have been killed. Not one life sign is visible,
stated Furby, whose voice betrayed his horror. A few seconds later, Furby said,
Sir, one large structure remains on the surface. No visible damage had been done to it. It looks like it wasn't even here before the attack. Huh?
A few seconds later, James made his choice. Furby, grab a team together to head down to the planet. The horror. Part 5, October 22nd, 2602, 1430. As Furby, Henry, and Chief Engineer Berinsky dematerialized on the surface of the planet, they took in the horror. Ruins of a past civilization were all around them. The remains of once mighty buildings were now just a pile of stone under their feet. Furby quickly took out his tricorder, double-checking his earlier readings.
Yep, no life signs,
said Furby as he put his tricorder in his pocket. I say, this is just horrible. It is just disgusting. Who would do such a thing? Asked Henry. Berinsky, he's French. I have a good bet it's some of the enemy, said Berinsky. Come on, this is giving me the creeps. The crepes. Come on, this is giving me the crepes. That one I just put it there because it's funny. They all turned around and looked at the large building before them. Standing nearly 20 stories high, the building appeared very plain and bare. It had no windows, it just had a gray metallic color to it. As the trio walked to the building, a chill ran down their spines. This building seemed very out of place amidst the destruction. The scarred feeling was not helped by the fact the dusk had just started and the planet's sun was starting to go down. As the three reached the building, they looked for a door. Eventually, and the right side of the building, they found one. Entering it, they appeared in a huge room filled with advanced computers and terminals, 2 periods. There was no ceiling except the top of the building high above them. Catwalks lined with more terminals extended all the way to the top. Again, the silence seemed strange, and again, all three felt a chill. Berinsky was quick to look at the nearest computer terminal while the other two secured the area, checking to make sure the building was empty. A few minutes later, Berinsky called the two over. I can't make much sense of this data, but from what I can gather, Berinsky started to say, but suddenly a sudden sound made all three stop. Quickly hiding behind a terminal, I'm just imagining like Scooby-Doo, like they're all hiding behind a terminal, like going, whoop, whoop, with like heads coming up. Quickly hiding behind a terminal, the three peeked out from behind it. A large wormhole had appeared on an upper level. Suddenly a man stepped through the portal, seemingly from nowhere, as the man had not been on the other side of the wormhole. A few moments later, 5 more men carrying many different weapons stepped through. Suddenly, Berinsky recognized the first man. I know that man. It is the infiltrator who tried to take over the ship, whispered a surprised Berinsky. I say, we need to get back to the ship now, said Henry, also quietly.
I have 2 portable transporter tags. You two, take them and warn the captain. You know, like those things that Data uses in Nemesis, because I'm referencing stuff even though technology should have gotten much better in the past 500 years since that movie, but we're not going to talk about it. I'll stay here and get some information,
said Furby, while taking 2 small discs out of his pocket. I say we won't leave you behind, Furby. We stick together, said Henry.
Unfortunately, you don't have a choice,
said Furby as he quickly slapped the discs on the 2 of them and watched as they both dematerialized into thin air, both with surprised faces, like, oh no. Part 6, October 22nd, 2602, 1500 hours. The man stepped off the main catwalk to the nearest computer terminal. Ignoring his 5 guards, he quickly scanned the nearby area. No one was near the exterior of the building, but to his surprise, a Starfleet ship was in orbit around the planet, and that wouldn't do. He quickly hailed the ship. A few seconds later, a man in a captain's uniform was on the screen before him. Oh, we actually get a name for the man in this episode. Oh my gosh, he's gonna get a name.
Hello, Captain. My name is Gregory Fergal. His name's Gregory Fergal, guys. This guy who I've been building up for episodes and episodes. His name, legitimately, is Gregory Fergal. Just enjoy that for a moment. Just sit with that. Oh, I'm a good writer. It seems that you have found this planet. It surprises me that Starfleet actually can do something right these days.
Ignoring the insult, James approached the screen.
I am Captain James Obeska of the USS Majestic. I demand to know what you are doing on this planet and why you slaughtered an race of innocents,
said James, his voice rising, all of his anger that had built up these past few days starting to come out.
Unfortunately, I can't really answer either of the questions, but you and I both know that, didn't we? Also, your presence here days caused problems with my plan. So if you will apologize for my bluntness, I will need you to either destroy your ship or let me do it for you. You have 5 minutes to comply, but I really think we both know where this is going.
So does Gregory in this moment really think, like, I'm just going to give him 5 minutes to prepare because maybe they might choose to actually blow themselves up? Like, that, he's like, either blow yourselves up or I'm going to destroy you. And you have 5 minutes to choose one of those options. Like, I don't know what the plan is there. Oh my gosh. All right, when you're in the end, guys and gals and NB pals. Part 7, October 22nd, 2602, 1520. Needless to say, James didn't give in. Obviously. After 5 minutes, when Gregory didn't get an answer, the building started to fire on the Majestic. Also, 2 small but powerful ships took flight from the rooftop of the building and started to attack the Majestic. Parts of the ship had broken off. Dozens were dead or dying in sickbay. So many people die all the time. And James knew what he had to do next. He pressed a button on the comm panel, allowing all decks to hear his voice.
Crew, this is the captain speaking. You have done well today. It was an honor to serve with all of your. But the Majestic is going to lose this battle against a building. And while all of you have fought with honor, we must come to that conclusion. I am going to ram this ship into that building, but before I do, I have one more order. Abandoned ship.
Part 8, October 22nd, 2602, 1630 hours. Henry had just come back to the Majestic, and just as quick, he was pushed into an escape pod and sent hurtling towards the planet he had just left. Ironic. He thought to himself. He though to himself is what I wrote. He hadn't heard what was going on, but he knew it wasn't good. He also heard from the 3 other crew members that were with him that his good friend Jane near to the planet's surface, and he watched as it crashed and exploded right near where
right near where the godforsaken building lay, and he watched with great horror as out had just died for nothing. Bom, bom, bom. And I think that's where we'll leave it, though I can tell the stream might be having a little bit of problems. I'm going to quick reload, make sure that it's just my computer and not anyone else. Okay, it looks like it was just my computer. Cool. All right, and that is it for the first season of Star Trek Mirror Wars. There are 5 more episodes left, and I will get to them at some point. But before, all right, sorry, I'll be back in just a second. But before we roll out, we gotta do one thing to finish off the reading, of course.
Butterfly in the sky, I can go twice as high. Take a look, it's in a book, a reading.
Sorry, I won't make you sit through the whole thing, but that was I just thought that was funny. Also, my cat is scratching at the door, so give me just a hot second to let him in. You're all gonna see my nice leggings. Come on, bud. Come on. You want it? You coming? Come on. There are people watching. Oh, there's some. There he goes. That's my kitty. All right. So, sorry, I just also got a bunch of text too. I want to make sure everything's good. Cool. All right. Apologies. And that is Newt. For those of you who haven't met Newt before, he's going off into his own little world. And these leggings are super comfortable. Say I'm random there. I love these leggings. Oh, so I'm gonna hang out for a little while, and we can talk for a little while. I'm also going to announce. Well, I might as well announce what my next live stream is going to be starting Saturday. Let me quick hide that. Starting Saturday, I'm going to be starting a new type of live stream. I'm still going to finish off the last 5 episodes of my of my fan fiction here, but I'm also going to start playing not that. Wait, where is it? I'm going to start playing that. That's my little thumbnail for my Final Fantasy VII Remake. So I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy VII Remake starting next week. Or starting Saturday night. I'm going to try and do it drunk, so it'll be kind of fun. We'll do drunk Let's Plays of Final Fantasy VII. I played Final Fantasy VII a little bit way back in the day. So it should be fun to, I never beat it, and I don't have much nostalgia for it, so it'll be kind of fun to be playing it. I'm not a huge Final Fantasy fan, but I played the demo and I'm just very excited for it. So, I hope you all enjoy that thumbnail. I think I'm very proud of that particular thumbnail. So yeah, that'll be up on Saturday night. Like I said, I will probably get a bunch of alcohol, some beer, some wine, some random stuff, and we'll just slowly get drunk together and enjoy some Final Fantasy and drunkenly play some Final Fantasy. So we'll see how long that goes. But I'll try and play through the whole game over the course of the next few weeks. I'll probably be doing it at odd times, but I'll save all of the live streams. So if you miss any, you'll be able to catch them. But I will be playing all of it and saving up the live streams. So, and just whenever I play, I'll be putting it up. So, like I said, maybe random times, but that's what it'll be. All right. So, that's all I had to say on that subject. Let's quick jump over to a better screen so you guys can see my face better. Not that you guys want to. And let's just hang out and we'll talk for a little while. Also, I can see the Continuum is in the chat. By the way, Continuum is also another lovely Star Trek YouTuber who also was doing a Let's Play of Final Fantasy X last night. So you should go follow him if you want some more Final Fantasy content. He's also a wonderful, amazing, kind person. both here and on Twitter. So please shout out to the Continuum. And also for those of you who missed it, Christy Abbey, who's also in chat and who just said some things, who just asked a question in chat, which I'll respond to in a second. But Christy Abbey, you should also give Christy a follow and a subscribe as well, because she does some wonderful interviews with some amazing trans and leftist creators like myself. She did an interview with me, and we'll be having another one at some point as well. But she's done some wonderful other interviews with like Steve Shives and everything. So please give the Continuum and Christy some love over on their channels, because they are both wonderful creators and, more importantly, absolutely wonderful humans. So, and I adore them with all of my heart. So yeah, Christy asked, and I think it's actually a wonderful question, what good things have happened to everyone this week? And Dash, you say cheers, Continuum, smile. I also want to send some love to Dash, by the way. Dash has been sending me some messages and of support and kindness, so I want to say thank you to you as well. Seal0626, I repotted some aloe veras and they haven't all died yet. That is good. I do not have a green thumb whatsoever. Sorry, Steve isn't trans. Apologies. You're right, Dash. I misspoke. Steve is not trans. He is left, so he is leftist. So he fits in that that sort of bucket. But yeah, I have no green thumb whatsoever. My mom always had a billion potted plants, and I hadn't. I would always, like, if I had to take care of them, I would always let them die. I'm surprised Newt is actually a very happy and healthy cat, because I'm terrible at raising things. And the Continuum, and show Jessie I love her by hitting the like and subscribe. Thank you so much, Continuum. I really appreciate that. Actually, if you do want to support me, you know, don't worry about supporting. It's always weird when I say support stuff. If you can, I guess, the video I released today, I've just been having some nervousness with like videos performance, especially after considering the stuff that happened right before the stream. So if you can just, you know, if I post a video, if you guys are always able to just go ahead and comment, leave a like, even if you can't watch the whole video, just be like, hi, I commented, and leave a thumbs up. It does mean a lot towards helping me. Like, even that's something small like that helps the video gets boosted and helps the ads get seen, so that I can make a little bit more money, especially right now. It's super helpful in that way. So Seal, say my mother was a gardener, but I did not inherit the aptitude for it. Yeah, I hopefully you'll be able to learn with your aloe veras. That'll be super, super nice. Christy, I got 100% of my Algebra 1 midterm test. Khan Academy for Fun, Wellington. Congratulations, Wellington. That's absolutely amazing. Getting 100% on your algebra. That's absolutely fantastic. I used to do really well at math, and then like I've just forgotten all of it and can barely do basic math nowadays. My dad let me in on his pot stash, Mackenzie Fleetwood. That's a true win. I don't smoke pot too much just because I get way too existential. When I smoke pot, I go like, whoa, life is really deep, man. And like, I start like going down this like rabbit hole of thought, and I'm like unsure how to get out of it. So I don't smoke all that much pot, but your dad letting you in on his stash is hilarious. My parents are also, they also enjoyed pot here and there as well. I finally get to do Zoom with my semi-girlfriend, talk for 3 hours. Christy, oh, that's amazing. Congratulations. That is absolutely wonderful. It's nice to connect with people. I really want to... That's the other thing I'm kind of sad about, too, right now, is, like, I want to, like, after surgery, my hope was to, like, you know, I've been broken up with my ex. We're still friends, my ex and I, but we've been broken up for, like, half a year now, a little bit more than that, and so I wanted to start dating again after my surgery, but obviously... world craziness and made dating a little bit difficult, so I need to try and figure out how to do that at some point. Wellington Smith, oh my god, I want to see Stoner Jesse. Yeah, that would be it's really fun. Well, if I ever did a get high thing, like a live stream or whatever, I would watch like an episode of Star Trek or something and like see if we could Netflix it, like Netflix group it. And you would just have to deal with me being like, whoa, this is so deep, man. So that would be the best way to do that. Though I probably wouldn't do smoking on camera, just because I do want to get full-time jobs. And while most people don't really care at this point, especially in California, it's probably just better to not have like images of me getting high online. Like I said, it's annoying that there's still a stigma around it because it's just like alcohol, and I've drunk alcohol on camera, but it's just a thing. When Bizzle, it is impossible to date right now. Yeah, it's unfortunate. I've thought about like going on like OkCupid and things like that, and seeing maybe if you could do like a Zoom date, because I'm sure that that's probably going to be how things go for the next however long. So hopefully we'll be able to, like, I'm sure there's ways of figuring out like online dating, like truly online dating in this day and age. So I'll be figuring that out at some point, I'm sure. Or maybe hopefully this will all start to end soon and I can get out there, get back into the swing of things. And I don't know what this is. This is my sexy dance, apparently. Look at me. I'm sexy, right? This doing it for anybody. Certainly not doing it for me. Anyways, but yeah, watch party would be fun. Some random, I am pretty much financially supporting two of my disabled comrade friends because you can't live on SSI. I'm sorry to hear that. Yeah, that does really suck. And I know a lot of us are, like I said, I was talking at the top, a lot of us are having some financial worry. And I know some random, if you have any supporting links, please send them my way. I know you're not I don't know if you can post links on this chat, but please, like, send them to my Twitter, like DM me on Twitter. I leave my DMs open. So send them to me and I can try and like promote them. If you have any like GoFundMe's or anything. This goes for anybody, by the way. If anybody has like a GoFundMe or anything like that, please feel free to DM me on Twitter with that, and I can like put them in my like live stream things to like support. I know Steve Shives does that as well, so that's probably a good practice that I can borrow from Steve. Win Bizzle Dizzle, Jesse have an edible before going online if you want to have that. It'll be a picture of me going like, so like doing an edible would probably be smart, or just doing it before, like taking a hit before I came on would probably do just as well. I'm also a lightweight when it comes to smoking. I take like one tiny like puff and I'm like, whoa. So it would be a thing. That is the one nice thing about, well, there are many nice things about transitioning, but one thing about transitioning that I noticed is like it takes a lot less alcohol. But that's weight loss as well. But a lot less alcohol and a lot less like any types of like weed or anything to like hit me. So it saves money in that regard. Though if I overdo it, it's a lot easier to have a bad night as well. So it is legal in Cali, both for just recreational or for medical. But it's just like I said, it's just one of those, like, I just don't have an image of me doing it. Oh, perfect. Good. I will find those and I will tweet those out. And also start putting them in my live streams notes as well. If I forget by the next live stream, just remember to poke me about it and I will make sure to add it. So the best people in life come through everyday contact with people. If this becomes how we socialize, I think it will become a thing. Yeah, I agree. I think like online dating, I mean, we're going to have to. I mean, they say there's like the Harvard thing, like social distancing might be a thing for till 2022 right now. Like us talking here, doing this, has generally kind of changed. I turned down this some because my face is really bright, but like us doing this, like hanging out here is a cool way to do it. How we've been socializing. One of the greatest things I've heard was Marina Sirtis is a pothead. I didn't know she was a pothead. That's actually kind of hilarious. She would be a funny pothead. I hope she's doing well. There was a video that actually came out earlier this week or last week where a bunch of like Star Trek actors, put in like a video to like stay positive, stay happy, stay healthy, which was very nice. It was like a thing. I think it does need to be face-to-face like Zoom for dating. Oh, yeah. I mean, I don't think like the way we're doing it now where I'm just sort of the one talking head and everyone else is in chat is the way to like do dating or anything like that. But I mean, like the ways in which we socialize has definitely changed. Like I know, I've been doing a lot more live streams than I used to. I know I've been hanging out in a lot more people's live streams lately just because it's like, oh, it's good to like hear a person's voice that I like know and enjoy and can interact with them. Like I'm sure you guys are feeling the same with me. So yeah. Christy, I'll give away a secret. When Jesse was on my other thing, Fluid Voice, which by the way, you should check out. We did a wonderful podcast I did a wonderful podcast with Christy and some of her co-hosts. After the show, we talked for something like another hour. Human contact was so important. I agree. Yeah, it was very nice to just like chill and hang out. And like I said, even this right now, like just doing this right now Like, I'm trying not to think of it too much, but like I said at the top of the stream, I just got some kind of scary news in my life, and I know, like, even when I finish the stream, I'm kind of like nervous of finishing the stream because I know as soon as I do, it's gonna be very quiet in here. And so I know I'm going to be kind of like nervous to just be alone with my thoughts. So I'll be fine. Don't anyone worry about me. But I know that like, I just know that like my anxiety comes back more when I'm not talking and not with people to distract me. It's just kind of, it's, you know, it is a real sad thing. And like I said, I know there's a lot of people that are probably much worse off in a much worse off situation than I am. But it does suck that this is one of the most scariest and unnerving times for so many of us, economically and health-wise, and we have to be kind of isolated on top of that. It's really unfortunate. Sorry, I don't mean to go. Let's get out of that hole. Positive things. Has anyone? I should ask. Has anyone been watching some stuff? I know. Mackenzie, you mentioned you were watching Star Trek: The Next Generation. Has anyone else been watching things? To discuss, and thank you, Christy. I appreciate that. That you reaching out. And also, another thing that I was talking about earlier, another way that I like deal with anxiety and stress is I deal with, sorry, I'm going back into that hole. I'll talk about that in a minute. Beastars. I did want to watch Beastars. That's the anime with like a bunch, that's kind of like, Zootopia, but it's like a much more like darker allegorical version of Zootopia. I know someone just did a video on that. Jack Saint just did like 2 hour-long videos on Beastars that I watched. That was super interesting. I don't know if you watched, Gavin. I don't know if you watched, if you follow Jack Saint. He's a wonderful, another wonderful like bread tuber, left tuber who just did a whole series on Beastars. So if you're looking for more Beastars content, check out his videos. They're wonderful. I finished the third season of Castlevania, and I like it. Some random. Oh my gosh, yes, the third season of Castlevania. Castlevania in general is just easily one of my favorite moments in so long. I adored that show. So good. I've been watching the X-Files every Friday and Saturday night. Ooh, good choice. I watched the first 2 seasons of the X-Files and then stopped. I think that was when I had my gender confirmation, like my first gender confirmation surgery, the like vaginoplasty. I think when I was healing from that, I started watching X-Files and I stopped because life got busy after I was done healing. But I watched the first 2 seasons of X-Files. Maybe I should get back to it at some of them. I have my issues with Jack Saint, but I won't go into it here. That's really fair. I haven't watched like all of Jack Saint's stuff, so I don't really know if he's a perfect YouTuber, but his Beastar stuff, and there was a couple other videos of his that I watched. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head that I found to be interesting, but I can't speak for all of his content, so or him as a person. But his content that I've seen has been good. So I personally would recommend it, but I'm sure some random would be, and I'd love to hear your thoughts, some random on him as well, because I don't really follow him outside of his content. So Castlevania is good then, Wellington Smith? Yes, Castlevania is very good. It's also very short. Like, I think the first season's only 4 episodes, second season's 8, and then third season's 10, I think is how it breaks down. So there's really only like 20 episodes. It's a very short watch. Though there will be a season 4 they announced, and every season's fantastic. So good. Many twists and turns. The characters are great. It's dark, but also kind of has humor in there too, and very relatable characters. It's surprisingly well done. I would very much recommend it. If anyone else is also, if anyone's a fan of like very heady sci-fi, which I think if you're, a fan of my channel, you probably are a fan of very heady sci-fi, 2 shows that I would recommend to you. One that's, it's written and directed by Alex Garland, who is one of my favorite creators. He created Ex Machina. He did the film Ex Machina and Annihilation, 2 films which are phenomenal. And Devs is excellent. I'm trying to think of how to even describe it without spoiling. Oh God, it's very. Think of it's like a Microsoft company, like very tech company, and you're following one of the main characters, not the only main character, but one of the main characters is like played by Nick Offerman, is the head CEO, kind of think like the Bill Gates type, Mark Zuckerberg type of head of this company. and he's created a how to not spoil. He's created a machine with some incredible implications for the entirety of humanity and the universe. And that's about as far as I'll go in terms of spoiling, but it has some really crazy questions. The way they film it is super, super intriguing. They managed to show some really clever ways to film some old, good sci-fi content or good sci-fi themes and ideas. So I would very much recommend Devs if you're into that. And then the other one I was going to watch, and Wellington Smith just brought it up, The Expanse. If you're looking for good, heady sci-fi, The Expanse, I think is the best. As much as I love Discovery, as much as I love Picard, I easily think The Expanse is the best science fiction show out there. I assume a lot of you who are out there probably have watched The Expanse. If you're in this sort of network of people, I'm sure you guys have already seen The Expanse. It's fantastic, and the book series is also well worth a read if you're a book fan as well. I read the entire book series, and it's great. Speaking of which, I know, Mackenzie, you just said I'm rereading Carmilla. It's one of my favorite books in high school. I never read Carmilla, but I'm curious to hear how that book is, and I'm also curious, is anyone else reading? Is anyone reading anything interesting? Right now, I'm currently reading, what am I reading? I'm actually going through Isaac Asimov's, like Foundation series books. I read his Robot series a while ago, and now I'm getting into the Expanse books, or not the Expanse, the Empire books that are between like the Robot series and the Foundation series, and then I'm planning on reading the Foundation series next. And they're really, really good. I like sort of logic puzzly books. I like books that are very much like very exposition heavy, weirdly enough. So exposition heavy books are fantastic for me. I don't know why, I just always love good exposition heavy books to read, and his are up there. His treatment of women is very much of the time. Very much in line with Star Trek. I know Asimov was a huge, was kind of friends of Gene Roddenberry and wrote to Gene Roddenberry, so there's some interesting stuff in there. Katrina Jones, the last book I started reading was Mass Effect Retribution. I really got to finish reading that book. I should too. I read a bunch of the Mass Effect books. I don't think I read Retribution though. So I want to get back to those books. I also want to read the Halo books. I'm a huge Halo fan, so I do want to get into the Halo books. Also, another book recommendation I put up is they just released yesterday the latest Star Trek book, which is actually a novel set in the Kelvin timeline. What is the name of it? I have it on my audiobooks here. It's the first book. It's the first novel set in the Kelvin timeline, which is exciting. And it was actually written 10 years ago when they finally are releasing it. Star Trek: The Unsettling Stars by Alan Dean Foster. So if you're interested in Star Trek books, I'd recommend that because it's the first Kelvin timeline Star Trek book that they've ever written, set after Star Trek 2009 and I think before Into Darkness. So I'd recommend that very much. Book recommendations: Seven Eves. What is Seven Eves? Let me know, Dash. I'd love to hear more about that. Someone just came in, Dare Alti Trekkie. Good morning to you. I think you said you're. It's very early in the morning for you in Germany. Welcome. I'm glad to see you here. I'll get to your question in just a second. Fun will now commence. I found an opinion here on YouTube that Alison Pill plays essentially the same character on his devs as she does in Star Trek Picard. Would you agree with that? No. The character in devs, Alison Pill plays a much more Tilly type character in Star Trek Picard, where she's sort of uppity, energetic, talks a lot, is kind of quirky, and has a lot of autism spectrum-y signs to her character. And obviously, without spoiling too much of Star Trek Picard for those who haven't seen it, she does have a dark turn to her, clearly, but as a character, she's kind of an upbeat person, just generally, and much more emotive. And then her character in devs is a much more sinister, introverted character. She very still. You see, Alison Pill has super range because she is much more constrained, and it makes her super creepy in that show. Again, it's hard to talk about Des without spoiling, but her character is, you relate to her, but she is very unsettling. She's just, especially with some choices in the later episodes that she makes she's very, very unsettling type of character. So I would say Alison Pill, you can see some similarities in that they're both scientist-y type characters, but I don't think that she plays the same character really at all. Carmilla is problematic in terms of LGBT representation, obviously from the 1800s, but it's basically started the reluctant vampire trope. I'd have to know more. I don't know much about Carmilla, so I might have to check it out. They're also tricky. How you doing? We started reading the Shatnerverse Star Trek books. Started with The Return. Good choice. Those are fun. I recommended in my other video the Shatnerverse books, and actually I was surprised you didn't start with Ashes of Eden. It is a TOS era book, but there's a lot of stuff that happens in Ashes of Eden that ties into his later novels. So if you haven't read Ashes of Eden, if you remember it, you don't have to read it. But there's a couple characters that come from Ashes of Eden that you should remind yourself for that come back later on in other books. But the Shatnerverse books are so much fun. They are so much fun. They are definitely like Captain Kirk solves all the problems, like William Shatner writing his very author insert, quite literally author insert version of Captain Kirk. So Captain Kirk's always the one saving the day, and kind of like Picard kind of gets shafted a lot of the times and has to get rescued by Kirk numerous times. But it is also, in a weird way, it's like kind of like high adventure fun. It's like weirdly like Indiana Jones Star Trek edition with William Shatner, and and they get ridiculous too. The first 3 books are like fun adventure stuff. The second trilogy has to do with some really cool mirror universe stuff, but basically it's like the entire universe was built to create Kirk. And then the third trilogy is all about like Kirk's basically the father of space Jesus. They're phenomenal books, so much fun. Let's see. Dear Ultra Trekkie, I need to continue to write on my Star Trek fan fiction book. You should do it. It's fun. It's just fun to write. I enjoy writing. Seal 0626. I feel weird about Girardi. I distrusted her instantly. She was trying too hard to be liked and trusted and was so clearly fake. But I have to recognize that could have been internalized ableism. Possibly. I don't think my reading of her was that she wasn't trying to be fake. I think she was like a little bit off kilter. Like she like laughs at Picard instantly. I think she was just like, I clearly read her as kind of on the spectrum. That might just be my reading of her, because they don't state that. But I think she seems to be kind of more put together than like Tilly is, for example. Who Tilly I think is also clearly on the spectrum as well. So I think Girardi is much more clearly, got it together in terms of that sense. And this is me speaking as someone who's also on the spectrum, by the way. But I don't think she, at least when she first came into the series, that she had any bad intentions. But then clearly she did as we went further on. Let's see. Some random says, "Oh, this Saturday should be fun. I co-host Social Justice Alchemy on YouTube, and we are having a guest on the show. Oh, that should be fun. I didn't know you hosted I don't know you hosted something like that. That should be fun. I'll see if I can check it out. I also should pimp myself a little bit. Sunday, I need to double confirm this, but I believe on Sunday I am appearing on Trek Central. So I'm not 100% sure if that's confirmed yet, but I believe Sunday I'm appearing on Trek Central for their live stream. We're going to talk Star Trek Picard, so join me over there. And if I end up not being on it, still go check them out. Trek Central's great. Oh, and one book I would like to recommend to you, Jesus Video. It's a German book about people finding a manual for a video camera by a time traveler. Ooh, okay. Jesus Video. I'll write that down, actually, because that sounds super cool. I'm always looking for good book recommendations. Jesus Video. Thank you, Trekkie. I appreciate that. I'll read that as soon as I finish the Foundation books, which should be fairly simple, actually. However, I'm not a fan. You're not a fan of the Avenger. I liked the Avenger. I have to go back and really read it. It's been a while, but I liked it, especially now because I think it's like all about like a virus attacking the Federation. It might be a bit too close to home for right now, but I remember kind of enjoying it here and there. Social Justice Alchemy is just a podcast and live stream I do with my friends every Saturday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time on the Social Justice Alchemy YouTube channel. It is also a podcast. So you hear it here, everybody. Go check out Some Random's Social Justice Alchemy podcast. Is it just on your channel, or it's on the Social Justice Alchemy YouTube channel? So yeah, just search, if you can, search Social Justice Alchemy on YouTube and find Some Random's podcast there. So make sure you can follow her. Or sorry, I don't mean to assume your pronouns because I never asked Some Random. What are your pronouns, by the way? I know I just used her, so apologies if that's incorrect. I just assumed based on your avatar, but I just realized I never actually asked. So, apologies. He, they. Okay. Yeah, see, I did get it wrong. So apologies for that. My bad. So apologies there. And some randoms hanging out in Steve Shive's streams. Yes. Definitely see some random there all the time. I think I'm going to wrap up soon. Just because I've been going for almost 2 hours and I do need to get some dinner. So let me just see what I want to do before I wrap out soon. I just want to say, I guess to just say a few things here. First off, I'll promote and then I'll get real for a second. So first off, promoting stuff. I know I promoted a bunch of people in the live stream. Go check out Some Random. Go check out Christy Abbey. Go check out The Continuum. They are all fantastic people who make wonderful content, some of which I've appeared on. So if you want to check out stuff that I've done, Christy, I know I've appeared on some of Christy's stuff, The Fluid Voice, and I also did an interview with her. So please go check her stuff out to promote me a little bit. But all three of them are wonderful people that you should 100% follow and I should 100% give some support to. To pimp some of my things, sorry to use that word, I shouldn't, just came into my head. Tomorrow, I am doing a video that was a bit of me expressing my anxieties that have now gotten worse today. The video was actually very helpful in alleviating some of them, but today's going to be a little bit harder. But it's a video about 7 of 9 and the episode from Star Trek Voyager called One, where 7 of 9 is isolated and alone. And so I know that that's sort of a harder topic to discuss, but it was someone like me finding a way to try and like express my anxiety, express how my anxiety comes out, and hopefully that is able to connect with other people, because the goal of it is to like explain how anxiety works and at least my personal anxiety, and hopefully it connects with other people and helps them have a safe place to discuss and vent. So please check that out. That comes out on Friday, not tomorrow, excuse me. So check that out on Friday. Next week, I'm going to try something a little bit interesting. Last promoting thing that I'll do. Oh, don't forget Saturday, I'm also going to be doing a drunken Final Fantasy stream, so check that out with me. That should be fun to hang out with. And then next week, I'm mildly nervous to do it, but the last one did well. But I'm doing another political that goes over. It should be funny. It is. I think it's satire. It's aimed to be kind of funny, but a little bit dark. A little bit different than the Borg one that I did last week. So this one was aiming to be a little bit funnier, but it's in a way it's a little bit darker. So I'm excited to do that one. So check that out next week. And so I think that's everything that I'm just going to promote now. Watch my video about the pony jar to learn more about it. Some random, so go check out Some Random's pony jar video. And before I finish off the stream, I do just want to say, and apologies if I get emotional here. We'll see how my emotions do. But as I said at the top of this video, right before I came on this stream, I got some tough news about my full-time job. Like I said, don't know anything for sure yet. Maybe it's all fine. Maybe I don't have anything to worry about. But given the situation that I'm kind of in at that job, where I was kind of moved right before all this crazy stuff happened and haven't had a lot to do, I know I'm kind of worried about being first up on the chopping block. So anyways, I'm just venting that thought. Considering that, doing this live stream with all of you and getting to just chat with all of you for this past 2 hours has actually been very helpful. And so I just want to say, to all of you that it has really meant a lot to me. Like having this channel, having a place to make content, to connect with people, to have some fun, really means a lot to me. It's honestly this channel is one of the true joys of my life. It does so many things. It allows me to be creative. It allows me to build out a portfolio that'll hopefully get me to either doing this full time one day, which is what I want to do, or getting a job that I want to do that is similar to this, where I get to host and talk about nerdy things. Like my dream job is to work at like an IGN or something. But anyways, it allows me to do that. But more importantly, more than ever right now, it's given me an outlet to say things, to be creative, to feel like I'm being productive during this time and have a goal to work for. And more importantly, connecting with such wonderful people. There are many of you that are in the chat right now that I talk to regularly, and I see as familiar faces from time to time appearing. Like, I know I'm not going to be able to list everyone, so I won't say names, but you know who you are. I know I see a lot of you a lot of the time, and I call you out. And to people who just appear every once in a while and maybe leave a comment or just watch my videos, or just, not even commenting in the chat right now, but just watching and enjoying and having fun. I'm so glad. I'm so honored, and I'm so touched to have all of you here. And don't think that I don't. My anxiety sometimes doesn't mean I can always reach out or things like that, or there's a lot of you, so I don't have time for everybody, but just know that I appreciate all of you so much. So, I know I got a little bit real there at the end, but I just wanted to let all of you know that you are all wonderful. And don't forget that. And I think it's important that we share moments of our feelings and our joys and our worries and the kindnesses that we have right now. So, yeah. Thank you, all of you, for chat. And it really does mean a lot. It really does. Anyways, we're good. Gonna stay positive. I want to leave the stream happy. So I love all of you. You're all wonderful. I appreciate all of you. I will see you all Saturday live for Final Fantasy. We'll get drunk. We'll have some fun. And I'll see you all then. And until next time, as always, you wonderful, wonderful, amazing humans, live long and prosper.